Interesting.
Hello guys and girls, how are you doing? You alright? This irresistible Adonis is Mark Feely.
Babes, I'll be there every single. You're my little princess. You love me, I love you. I think a nice lass would be there for each other.
Calm down ladies, I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you're watching this video I don't think that you're Mark's type. Today's sordid tale is one of mystery, depravity, vigilante justice and a possible corrupt police force, plus much more. Before we get started, this story is set in the north of England and I'm sure my British viewers will understand what's being said in the clips, but I'm aware I have viewers from all over the world, a lot of whom English is not their first language. So I'll write out subtitles for the clips that we use and translate any slang words into normal English, as some of the accents may be difficult to understand. Based on some of the comments of my previous videos, maybe I should start doing subtitles myself as well. And on that note, not much is known about Mark's early life. Judging from his accent, it seems fairly certain that he is from Yorkshire in the north of England. Most likely he is from Rotherham in South Yorkshire, as this is where a lot of the first cases we will look at are located, and his sister seems to live in the town. I have also found an old MySpace page of his that states that he is from Leeds in West Yorkshire. Apart from this, the only things that I could find about his younger days were these old photos and a few old home movies of him playing in a park with his friends and one of him dancing at a house party. These few fragments seem to tell the story of a unique looking but fairly normal young man. Sadly, I wouldn't be making a video about him if that was the case, so let's jump forward to when Mark was a little more grown up. Mark has a nickname online, the Notorious of the North. This is a British derogatory term which is a more harsh way of saying predator. Mark certainly lives up to this name and mostly uses the social media platforms TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram and to a lesser extent Facebook when embarking on his nefarious endeavours online. For reasons we will investigate later, information is very patchy on Mark, but it seems to have first turned up on TikTok around 2019, where he would do what are called duets with clearly underage girls. A duet, for those who don't use TikTok, like me, is when you post your videos side by side with another user. This seems to be something that Mark would do a lot on this platform, along with videos of him just dancing by himself. There are a lot of videos of Mark dancing. Some of them are videos of him dancing without any clothes on. I hate this job sometimes. Mark would also live stream on the platform, mostly talking to young girls in a playful and inappropriate way.
Yeah, I fancy putting my name as Legend.
You are a legend.
And there's 51 people. Come on, I need to beat Hammer.
You need to beat who?
Hammer. Because he gets over like.
Mark, how old are you?
How old do I look?
I don't know.
Just guess.
I don't
Well,
know.
for my age, at 4'11", I do not look 33.
You're 33?
Yeah. But I don't look it.
Sadly, this is just the tip of the iceberg with Mark, but due to the nature of the story, the actual timeline is a little hard to place exactly. So from this point forward, the following things are things that happened, but the order may be a little off. Mark talked about being in a relationship with a girl named Megan who was 16.
I look even sexier now when I've had a shave, don't I, girls? But that's for you, Megan, my darling. What do I mean? What do I mean? Right, I put it in two ways, Megan. I put it in a good way as well. You know when you said you were 16 and we was in a relationship? Last year, me and Megan split it up because we had arguments. But I wouldn't like to explain actually. What it were, when I was talking to Megan, I did ask Megan out to get with her.
Mark isn't liked very much in Britain and has regularly moved around the country for his own safety. We will explore this more later on, but a lot of the videos that Mark uploads shows him in a new home each time. He basically lives out of a suitcase with not very many personal belongings. So with that in mind, I noticed a weird detail. Mark seems to take this painting around with him. This isn't something that I'd normally bring up, but given the context of this story, it seems like a thing that I should talk about. Now, Mark stays at hotels a lot, so at first glance I thought maybe this is a generic hotel decoration. But then it showed up in this video, which is clearly filmed at a house and not a hotel. It also shows up next to a nude photo of a woman and what I think is some kind of certificate. Maybe this painting of a young girl holding a lamb, which is a symbol of innocence and purity, is just a painting of his mother when she was younger, or some kind of family heirloom passed down over the generations. But the fact that it is next to an explicit photo and Mark being the person that he is, well, something about this detail made me feel really uncomfortable. Now, a grown man dancing on the internet with minors and live streaming mostly to young people should be ringing alarm bells, but it's not illegal. Owning a painting is something that most people do, and even Mark being in a relationship with a 16-year-old is not illegal in Britain, but that is considered inappropriate and not viewed very kindly by most people. What is illegal is sending indecent photos of yourself to minors under the age of 16 and soliciting them to send photos back of themselves. There are many screenshots of Mark doing this online. If you follow my channel, then you know that I wouldn't normally include this type of stuff as it's easily photoshopped. But in Mark's case, the more I have looked into him, the more I am convinced that these are real. Or if these specific ones are fake, then others like them will be real. In one of these message threads, he sends a photo of his excited little Winky to an underage girl, with the girl saying that she feels sick. Mark then says that he is sorry and that he has cancer. I'm not going to spend too much time on these kind of details as they make me not very happy. The shockingly high amount of these kinds of incidents will be looked at in the next chapter, but for now let's look at another aspect of this story. Mark seems to keep getting away with this, and it's very confusing as to why he keeps getting away with this. The only record I could find of his criminal history were 2 articles written by a local newspaper in Yorkshire. In the first article, they claim that Mark was due to appear in court on the 7th of October 2022. He was set to be seen by Leeds Magistrates Court, accused of breaching an order to keep him off the internet due to the risks that he posed to minors. Mark had been given bail by the same court on the 10th of August 2022 for similar charges when using a Snapchat account that he had been prohibited from using when he appeared at Birmingham Magistrates Court on the 17th of June 2020. The second article then talks about how these charges were dropped as West Yorkshire Police offered no evidence to the court. The only other articles I could find on Mark are from local newspapers across the north of England because local residents are outraged that he has moved to their area, with the Lancashire Post claiming that someone set fire to a block of flats that Mark was suspected of living in. In each of these articles, the police are quick to let the public know that Mark does not live in the area. So why would someone with such a relatively small criminal record and very little known about him on mainstream media spark such extreme behaviour in otherwise normal people? Well, let's dig a little deeper and find out. Social media is a double-edged sword for Mark. It allows him to interact with children on platforms like TikTok, but also allows people to share the things that he gets up to on platforms like Facebook. Mark has become notorious mainly on Facebook from what I can tell. This platform seems to have many organisations dedicated to doing stings on people that they say are predators. Mark has been stung 5 times in different areas of the country by different organisations. It would seem that there are more stings than this, but the footage has been deleted or they weren't filmed. In this section, we are mainly going to focus on the first sting that was filmed and what really propelled Mark into the limelight. This sting was done by a group called Protect North East, or maybe Midlands Online Child Protection. It's a little hard to tell as it's been re-uploaded quite a few times. This video goes on for 45 minutes, so I'll give you the highlights and play whatever footage YouTube allows me to play. The people doing this sting claim that Mark has been talking to thousands of children online, and they are there because Mark Mark sent indecent images to 2 real children whose parents contacted them. They take Mark aside and detain him, waiting for the police to turn up and arrest him. Mark then says to the people doing the sting that the police will do nothing because people are mean to him, and because he is disabled in some way this makes what he is doing okay. Mark then himself calls the police to come and help him. With some of the stuff that we'll look at later, this sting is a little frustrating. Mark keeps going to say something that could shed light on why he keeps getting away with this stuff, but the people doing this sting keep angrily shouting over him, which makes him stop talking. I get that they are a grassroots movement and emotions are running high, so fair enough, but sometimes it's better to just let people talk and incriminate themselves.
You think you can get away with it and you can't now. Time's up, lad. Simple as.
You know what's happening? I'm telling you
Yeah,
now.
trust me, I'll tell
Do
the
you reckon
police.
you're going to get away with it, do you?
Police not.
Do you reckon you're going to get away with it again?
Police knows me. Police knows me.
Oh, the police knows you, so it's alright because the police know you.
Anyway, one of the men working for the group is live streaming this event, and soon thousands of people are watching what's going on. They then get one of the mothers on the phone to talk to Mark. As you can imagine, she doesn't really have anything nice to say to him. Then Mark's sister turns up. This is taking place in Rotherham, which is why it seems likely that he is from Rotherham. His sister really doesn't seem to like Mark very much and calls him a predator, saying that Mark wanted to be famous, but this may not be the best way to do it. She then says that Mark's mother wishes that he was never born and that Mark tried to get an injunction against his own mother. From the way that she was talking, it sounds like this has been a family problem for quite a while and his family really doesn't approve of what he does. I'll also just point out that Mark does confirm that this is indeed his sister. The tension then starts to rise as a group of people gather around Mark and want to attack him. But in a strange twist of fate, the people doing the sting become Mark's protectors and convince the baying mob that the best way to deal with this is to let the police handle it. One of the more striking things about this sting is just how much Mark doesn't care at all. He doesn't care that he may be arrested, or that thousands of people are seeing him being accused of being a predator, or that his sister's feelings are deeply hurt by everything that's going on, or even that there's a baying mob of people that want to do not very nice things to him. Mark does keep saying that he's already been arrested for sending indecent images, but the charges were dropped. This was in 2019, so before the charges that we looked at earlier in Leeds or Birmingham. As the video goes on, a larger mob gathers around Mark, now at about 50 people, with one man seeming to be very angry. The mob then start to turn on the people doing the sting for protecting Mark. They then start to throw things at Mark, but just in the nick of time the police show up and the video is cut. In a live stream after the event, the people doing the sting claimed that they gave the police files of evidence on Mark, including a disc, and they claimed that their sting involved 150 children and that another 50 children came forward after the live stream. This lady also claims that one of the children involved was 8 years old. She also confirms that Mark was arrested at the scene and that the evidence they gave to the police will be used in the court case. She also states that Mark was arrested before the sting but released due to mental health. In a later live stream, this lady claims that Mark was released pending investigation in regards to this sting, and that just a few days after his release he was online talking to kids. They then get one of the fathers involved onto the live stream, who claims that he went to the police station after Mark was released and spoke to one of the police officers who told him that they didn't have enough evidence to hold Mark. The father then points out to the police officer that they didn't even interview his daughter about what happened, to which the policeman says they will contact him, but they never did. This group also claimed that the police have lost evidence for 200 people who made allegations involving Mark, implying that there is something weird going on with the police. They also claim that Mark has been charged 4 times before this, but each time the charges have been dropped. This sting may have failed to get Mark imprisoned, but it did get a lot of attention on Facebook. Mark was now a superstar. This event really put Mark on the map, so to speak, and was the spark for a lot of the things to come later. One of the most interesting things about this sting for me is just how everyone involved knows that what is being alleged is true. The people saying it know it's true, Mark accepts it to be true, his sister knows it to be true, the mob that gathers seem to know that it's true. This may seem like flimsy evidence, but I'd invite you to watch the full sting on Facebook and make your own mind up. This is the thing that really convinced me that Mark is not not someone that should be talking to kids and why I made this video really, but it is just my opinion, so take it with a pinch of salt. As I stated before, Mark has been stung many more times than just this one. He is very prolific. I'll give a very brief overview of some of the other stings, but really this first one I think is the most enlightening. At this point, I'll make it very clear that I do not approve of any unlawful actions that have been done to Mark, and I do not condone anything that I talk about in this video. I am just relaying the events of what happened in a factual manner. So, in one of the other stings, Mark is treated very aggressively, being pushed and held in place until the police arrive. As far as I'm aware, this is lawful in Great Britain due to citizens' arrest laws, so hopefully YouTube will allow me to show this footage. The people doing this sting claim that Mark threatened a 6-year-old. These people sound Welsh, which for the non-UK viewers is pretty far away from Yorkshire. As I said, Mark gets moved around a lot for his own safety. Mr. Feely was arrested after this sting. Then 2 months later he was stung again by a group called Safeguarding Kids Online while he was staying at what I guess is a hotel. This sting was done while Mark was still under investigation for the last sting. These people sound like they are from Manchester, I think. I'm not a connoisseur of northern accents. What I do know for sure is they are not Welsh, so Mark had been moved again. One of the other stings, I'll say in air quotes, as it was just someone repeatedly assaulting Mark. But it seems like he knew information about where he lived and filmed it, so I guess it was meant to be some kind of sting. Again, I do not approve of this YouTube. The guy doing this sounds like he is from Bradford, so Mark had been moved again. Then the other sting that I found was in Rochdale by a group called Elite Predator Interceptors. Again, this has been re-uploaded quite a few times, so that could be wrong. Anyway, in this sting they put underwear on Mark's head and live stream the address of the hotel that he is staying at. One other thing on this topic before we move on is that Elite Predator Interceptors did an interview with Mark, which is pretty interesting. From what I can make out, this wasn't a sting, but more something that Mark requested to clear his name. I'm not sure this worked out quite the way that Mark had hoped, to be honest, but it was illuminating and confirmed much of what people already suspected, such as it was the local authorities moving Mark around, therefore the taxpayers were paying for his hotels, and that he was on disability benefits which paid for his phone and his Wi-Fi. Mark also made some pretty questionable statements in this interview. Again, the striking thing for me in this interview is just how much Mark doesn't care. And it always comes back to him being the victim in some way. I don't know what disability he has, to be honest, but it's irrelevant to me really. This guy should just not be around kids in real life or online. And that's the only thing that should be taken into account. Mental health issues are meaningless and pale into insignificance when measured against the impact of some of the stuff that we've already talked about. So I'll start this chapter off again by just stating for YouTube that I do not approve of any actions that I'm about to talk about. I am just stating the facts of the story in the way that a news article would do, and I would encourage everyone watching to act lawfully. So as we have already seen, Mark gets moved around the country a lot. From what I can tell, he has been moved all over the north of England, Wales and Scotland, but I can't find anything on him in southern England, which is weird. Mark gets moved to a new town, then chased out, then rinse and repeat over and over again. The earliest example that I could find of him being confronted is when someone accused him of following a young girl home in 2019. Due to the date that this took place, I would guess this is Rotherham, but I'm not too sure. Mark gets moved around from hotel to hotel mainly, and it has become a bit of a sport to spot Mark in the wild. Now again, I don't condone this and everyone should act within the bounds of the law, but there are videos of Mark being assaulted. One of these videos shows him being beaten with a metal pole while his home is being robbed. Many other videos show him being shouted at very aggressively, asking him to leave the town that he is currently residing in. One of the main problems that Mark faces is that he has a very distinctive look. No matter what face covering he is using, it's not very hard to spot him. Another problem is that he just keeps setting up new social media accounts counts every time he moves and just doesn't really seem to care about the consequences of his actions. Sure, in the moment when someone is threatening him he cares, but once that moment is over he just goes back to doing what he does and the cycle continues. One of the more well-known moments in the Mark Feely story was when he was confronted by a young man who was arrested by an overzealous female police officer. So I've only seen 3 YouTubers make a video about Mark Feely, 2 of which were American, and they seem very confused about this arrest. So I thought I would just clear up what's going on here. Britain has a few amorphous laws that are used by the police to arrest people that they don't like, but because they are poorly defined, the police can just interpret them any way they wish. One of these laws is the hate speech laws that can be used to manage what people say, and another of these laws is the public order laws that can be used to manage how people behave in public. I would guess that this man was arrested under Section 5 of the Public Order Act, which is a part of the law that the police can use to arrest anyone that they feel is acting inappropriately in public. It's normally used to take people off the streets for a short time and usually just results in a night in the cells or a small fine. The 2 American YouTubers that I saw make a video about this were Hi I'm Wonder and Underflow, and the other one was an Englishman named Joseph the World. I hope that it goes without saying that one Englishman is worth more than 2 Americans, and Joseph the World is a northerner, so no one really cares what he has to say. My video is much better than theirs. Only joking. Maybe. They'll do good work, so go and check them out after this video's done. So back to Mark Feely's story. In that clip he states that he has legally changed his name. As far as I can tell, no one knows what his new name is. The most recent thing that I could find about Mark dates from late 2022, in which he is being moved by the police into a new home. Something that you may have noticed in this story so far is that the police seem to be very helpful to Mark. Well, let's take a closer look at this. Something that you'll come across pretty regularly when researching Mark are comments claiming that Mark is being protected by the police. Some say that he has a family member working for the police who keeps getting him off the hook for the crimes that he has allegedly committed. Others say that the police protect him because he has special needs, while others say that the police as a whole are just protecting predators. These kind of comments may at first be easy to dismiss out of hand as crazy conspiracy theories to people that don't live in the local area, but much larger proven events have happened in a lot of these areas that involve police covering up predators for decades. So these theories may not be so far-fetched. If you are not from the UK, you may not have heard of the gang scandals, but these events are probably one of the most shameful in the whole of English history. It's a very large topic that is out of the scope of this video really, but I'll just give a very brief overview for people that are unaware of this situation. So across many towns and cities in northern England and a few in southern England, gangs of mostly Pakistani Muslim men did unspeakable things to mostly young white English girls. This went on for decades, and these ongoing crimes were covered up by the police and other local authorities. If we just look at Rotherham, which is where Mark is most likely from, then 1,400 girls were in this scandal, with the local institutions turning a blind eye or actively covering it up. After this scandal came to light, an investigation was launched in Rotherham named Operation Linden. This investigated the conduct of 47 police officers. 8 of these were found to have a case to answer for misconduct and 6 had a case to answer for gross misconduct. The report showed that South Yorkshire Police failed to protect vulnerable children and young people. This wording is taken from the report, but the kind of things that happened in this event make Mark Feely look like a Boy Scout, so it's understandable why people in these areas have lost complete trust in the police. And Mark doesn't help this by always claiming that the police are on his side.
Yeah, right, so keep on track, bro, so I can keep it on track. Because this is amazing, mate. This is a completely amazing. Everybody, people either calls me, mate, say what you want, bro, because when I show the police this, mate, I want to make sure they take all your names. So don't worry, mate, they'll be looking for you. Yeah, they take fucking names, mate. But don't worry. So beware. You don't know what fucking power I've got, mate. I've got power.
On the topic of Mark's live streams, he has a tendency to not understand how many viewers he has.
Because if anybody met me in person, I am the one person, a legend. Do you know why I'm a legend? Because I've just proved it myself. You've just proved it with 48k viewers. 48k viewers. Yo, I'm a legend, bro.
He had 4,800. You may have noticed I had to blur out the chats for these clips. That's because most of his viewers are people calling him a predator over and over again, which leads me on to one of the most funny moments in this story. So Mark was doing a live stream when he started to talk to a trans person who didn't speak very good English. I think they were Spanish or something maybe. Anyway, Mark's accent is pretty hard to understand even for native English speakers. So they looked at the chat to find out what his name was. They thought his name was Peter, as in Peter File. I'm not sure why I find that so funny, to be honest. Anyway, back to the police. Some people also speculate that they are trying to control content online about Mark. Obviously, I don't know if this is true, but many old videos about Mark on YouTube have been removed due to their policies on bullying and harassment. And the YouTuber Joseph the World claims that one of his videos was removed from YouTube due to him talking about an attack on Mark, which is why I'm trying to make it very clear that I don't approve of these things. Joseph the World and a clips channel named Mark Feely TV also claim that they have had videos unfairly taken down due to copyright claims. So it would seem that someone at least is acting to try and cover Mark in some way. It really doesn't bode well for this video staying up, but we will see. If it gets taken down, I'll make a follow-up video to let you know why it was taken down. I've taken all of the footage for this video from YouTube with the logic that if it's already on YouTube, it should be fine. The Mark Feely story is one with many unanswered questions. The main one being, where is Mark Feely today? There are lots of weird fake articles online claiming that Mark has passed away. Some seem AI generated to me as there are strange details wrong, like he was born and raised in the USA. It's one of the more annoying facts when looking into this story. It seems that every year or two a load of posts go out claiming that one of the parents has got their hands on Mark and he is no longer alive. These all seem fake, but Mark hasn't been seen for about a year, so who knows? Maybe he is in prison, or been moved to another country, or he has passed away. In regards to the police, I really don't know what kind of evidence is needed to convict someone of these kinds of crimes. So I don't really know what's going on there, but Mark does seem to have gotten away with much more than you would expect. I do have a bit of a conspiracy theory myself involving Mark. What if it's all just an act to stop him from facing consequences? Mark Feely, the master 4D chess player, every time he gets arrested he pretends to be simple, then when the police let him go he does a Kaiser Soze. His eyes straighten up and he walks out of the police station with a big smile on his face. Maybe it would explain how he keeps outsmarting everyone. This theory is a work in progress, but probably not, I guess. Someone suggested Mark Feely to me in the comments, so thanks for that if you're watching. Another thing that I'll bring up is that Mark does have his defenders online who claim that he is just being used for clicks on social media. It is indeed possible that the reason that Mark keeps getting let go by the police is that he is innocent. I haven't found any real criminal convictions for him apart from the two mentioned in the news article, and in the interest of fairness I haven't come across anyone saying that he has done anything in real life, apart from some of the stings claiming that Mark was there to meet children, or the footage when someone claimed that he was following the young girl. Having watched pretty much all of the footage in full that exists about Mark Feely, I don't agree with this, and I think that a lot of the things that people claim about Mark are true, and that these things happen with an alarming amount of frequency. He is very unapologetic about any of this and seems to think that what he's doing is not wrong. So my guess is that if he is still alive, you'll probably see him online again at some point. One other thing that I noticed while making this video is that no one ever seems to ask why an 8-year-old child is using social media. These platforms are designed to be highly addictive and alter your brain chemistries in ways that we don't fully understand yet. They are drugs, plus people like Mark use them. So maybe don't let your 8-year-old child shake their booty on TikTok. I don't think I've ever really told you guys what I offer on my channel membership and Patreon. I do exclusive videos once a month on people like Wildman Chris, Stephen Dawson, Profit Muscles, Tonetta, Callum's Corner and much more. Plus I do a bonus video along with each upload which includes things that are too spicy for the main video and outtakes. It's pretty cheap. Honestly, I think I made it a little too cheap, but that's what the price is, so check it out. Do the like, subscribe thing. Check out this video. Thanks to the channel members and Patreons, you guys are my sunshine in an otherwise dark and gloomy world. Oh, and bye-bye.
What I said, never get on me on the vodka.